The first thing I want to do is I want to thank everyone who contributed to the messages for Dale, because he did get to hear them, and they did me a lot of good, and I'm sure if he did get to hear them, they had to have done him a lot of good. They're each one's individual, and I put them on CDs, and there's also some music on here that I found last night on my little recorder. It's just like Dale's. He talked me in technology, you know. You got to have the 788. So I found all these really cool, like raw recordings of him and me just playing. And anyway, they're available here at a real reasonable price. I'll just lay them there. And okay, I'm gonna just start out. Okay. The West Side Story things, it reminded me of how that happened. Savage came up to me one day and he says, "We got to go to Muscadet," you know, and I said, "Okay, well, let's go to Muscadet." And so we drove there. And they had this theater in Muscadet, and we walked in, and it was West Side Story, the movie, and it was way after it had been out, you know, but for some reason they were replaying it in Muscadet. And it was a life-altering thing, you know. It was like West Side Story on a big screen. And that was the beginning of just him and I sharing that movie. You know, I loved all the music and the words, and that was the beginning of that. Rewind. I was kind of a nerd in grade school, and kind of junior high I was definitely a nerd. And then I would say in maybe 7th, 8th grade, my dad died, and all of a sudden people started treating me different. I don't know why, but one day this guy comes up to me. No, I got to rewind. I came from a neighborhood. I lived here, and Dale lived up here. And we were kids, and Tom mentioned the Civil War set. And Dale was always different. You know, it's like the rest of us played Army, and Dale played Civil War. and so he had this little Civil War set with little mortars and so Dale was always like Dale. You know, he's just different. And one of my favorite stories is the snowball fight we used to have these snowball fights. We'd build forts, and there were 2 teams. And, you know, you'd head behind the fort, and Savage would always, he was just savage back then, too. And he would, you know, not be fighting, but he'd be, like, down here. And then he'd have, like, his coat. He'd built up a bunch of snowballs, and he'd just run out and run over the thing and run at the other team. And everybody just punish him. And all his snowballs would go flying, and he'd be, you know, hurt and stuff. And so that was what Dale was like. So I fast forward now to junior high. My dad died. And Dale walks up to me, and all of a sudden he's a little hipper. And he said, "Hey, I heard you play drums." And I said, "Well, I play drums in band, you know." And he goes, "You want to be a drummer in a band?" And I said, "Oh, okay. Why not, you know?" And it's like, that was the beginning of, you know, we used to say, you know, geez, look at what we've done for each other, you know, either that or, you know, blame each other for, look what we haven't gotten accomplished. But, so, there were a couple stories I wanted to tell you that, I was just talking to Chuck Hemsel up top of the stairs, and he said, "You have to tell him the Buffalo Floral story," which is a classic Savage story. He worked for Buffalo Floral in Mount Horeb, and he would deliver helium balloons and Buffalo Floral gift arrangements. And he drove his own car, and this one time he was in Mount Horeb, and he was driving around. He couldn't find a place, and he said these balloons were hitting him in the face and stuff. And he was looking for the address, and he looked up, and whoa! And he saw this fence, and he went over through the fence. And then he went down this. He was going down this lawn, and they stopped. And he looked over, and he saw this guy running at him. The owner of the fence was running at him. So he wanted to get out and intercept this guy. And he got out, and all the balloons. And he was so pissed. And and then now, Gene, this is where I don't remember. I think they fired him.
First he took out their whole fleet of vehicles. He totaled every one of them.
He did. You know, but to hear him to hear me say it is like here, and to hear Dale tell these stories.
I had the good fortune of hearing it. I had to go back and repair their mailbox.
Yeah, you had to go back and repair it. But I mean,
Well, that was when he was delivering pizza.
Oh yeah,
And that was our car.
he was. He was. My favorite thing was just to listen to Savage and listen to him tell these stories. I wish I could remember more. I wrote them. Oh, I tried to set his house on fire. Yeah, and I don't remember. I put him on this thing, and I can't remember him right now. But what do you say? It's like, well, I'm melting down here. He's just the most unique guy. Anything that I am, I told Robin that he is the reason I am who I am, and she told Gene that, and he said, "Oh, that can't be right," but it is absolutely true. Anything good that's happened to me in my life, pretty much, except for Robin, pretty much came from Dale. He turned me on to so many people, everybody. He was a uniter with everybody. He brought me to so many things, and he was just a real force in my life. And it's just, I really am very grateful for having him as a friend. And I'm really thanks for all you guys coming. I really appreciate this. And I have a million stories, but I just, maybe I'll be able to tell them in another venue sometime. But anyway, thanks everybody for coming, and